First of all, I just want to say hello. I want to extend a warm welcome to all members in our virtual audience today. Joining us from across Canada, I am Judith Rigby, Catter Board Chair and Registrar and CEO for the College of Dental Technologists of Ontario. And in our audience today, I just want to acknowledge the various employers, commercial lab employers, RDTs, professional associations, regulators, members of the Canadian Alliance of Dental Technology Regulators, also known as CADR, federal funding and funded agencies. I want to provide the land acknowledgement in English, but on our screen you will see that it is in both official languages, French and English. Since each of us are attending this meeting remotely today from different locations within Canada, I would like to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples on whose traditional territories we all live and work. Indigenous peoples are the traditional stewards of the lands and waters from where each of us is attending the meeting today. I use the land acknowledgement to reflect on and learn in my personal life and career. Recognizing Indigenous learning involves understanding and valuing diverse Indigenous ways of knowing and teaching, often incorporating oral traditions, land-based learning, and experiential approaches. It's about shifting from a solely Western-centric educational model to one that is inclusive and respectful of Indigenous perspectives and knowledge systems. What I will speak to you about today embodies and extends these two principles to all equity-deserving people working in the dental technology profession. So what is our purpose today? Well, it's threefold. To help all of you understand PLAR as it relates to the dental technology profession. What are the benefits for you? And most importantly, to hear from you. PLAR, what is it? Well, it's the four-letter acronym for Prior Learning Assessment Recognition. So as regulators, we have a commitment. And the first thing we think about is, what is the risk? We've been talking about this. What is the risk to this profession in moving from an intellectually based occupation back to a skilled trade? Today, we know that we've in the past had about a 1-to-3 ratio of RDTs to DLAs. But now this is on the rise to about 1-to-7, just in Ontario alone. So why should we, as a professional community, stop this from happening? You know, which I spoke about, which is going from this intellectual-based occupation to going backwards to being a skilled trade. The global economy, digital, and CDCP is here to stay, and so is the public cry for sourcing in Canada and buying local. Dentists, denturists, RDTs, and employers, Facebook dental technician site are all saying we need more, not less, competent RDTs. What we need to do about this? As I see it, instill trust and confidence in all system partners that are prescribing from RDTs anywhere in Canada, including remote communities, to protect their patients and their professional reputation. And how can we do this? Well, the dental technology profession regulators, the federal government, and Canadian agencies for integration of internationally educated health professionals into the workplace have made a commitment to dental lab associates and employers. Registrants are committed by giving us their time and subject matter expertise to develop, implement, and maintain new programs and pathways to licensure. This enables us to move access to the profession from reactive to proactive, with an intentional approach to identifying and achieving inclusive pathways for all persons that demonstrate entry to practice knowledge, skills, and competencies in the dental technology profession. So when I talk about traditional pathways to becoming an RDT, we know that these are credential evaluation streams that are focused on 2 to 3 years of post-secondary dental technology education in Canada and outside of Canada. When a person is coming from a formal education outside of Canada, we evaluate them as are they equivalent to this post-secondary formal education. But the federal government and provincial government in recent years has cut, especially last year, cut the funding for these pathways. And the result is that these programs cannot create fast-track programs for individuals with years of hands-on learning, training, and experience gained from the RDTs. We also know that student costs will go up. Today's grads are already burdened with debt, and they can't pay to become licensed. So ask yourselves, is this the only way to assess readiness to challenge the high stakes registration exams? Are there alternatives? So we've got a strict credentialing system, limited funding sources, and really when it comes to paying for training and education, educating dental lab associates, that's really falling to the shoulders of the RDTs and the employers. So in looking at new pathways, we have to expand our credentialing evaluation streams that exist today from just looking at formal post-secondary or equivalent. We have to expand the revenue streams. So we are looking for government support. The Foreign Credential Recognition Program, and also through CADR. CADR has been working tirelessly and effortlessly, or sorry, not effortlessly, actually it's been quite a lot of effort over the past, 5 years to nationalize, to take a more national approach to a profession where the entry to practice requirements are very consistent and cohesive. And also looking to expand financial and career services support to employers and dental lab associates through wage subsidies for both parties and career planning, how do you license navigation, workplace culture, and mentorship. So what is PLAR? Well, PLAR is really about prior learning. It's designed for dental lab associates who want to take a full or laddered education approach to full credentialing by discipline in a very preset time frame. And it fulfills all regulatory education requirements. Not only for a full RDT license, but specifically in Alberta, where there is a single discipline registered dental technicians licensing model. This approach of PLAR is very rigorous and really requires self-determination and self-drive. It's a self-driven approach for the dental lab associate. And it covers not only just the prior learning, but it's also encompasses assessing. So we have trained RDTs who will assess applicants' portfolio evidence against the same entry to practice competencies used for traditional education pathways. And then there's recognition. Well, credentials, what does that mean? It has to meet the nationally accepted standard. After that, the candidate now will have a green light to challenge the examinations. So in this PLAR process, we're really not cutting any corners for the dental lab associate, and the dental lab associate cannot cut corners to becoming eligible to register with a dental technology regulator. So the pilot, I just want to give you a quick update on what this pilot is. So it is a proven pathway in other health professionals, and it's something that we are just encompassing and embracing. It is in progress, so it requires industry partner buy-in and employer participation. Both are absolutely critical. And you now, today, in the audience, you have an opportunity to shape the PLAR to meet current and future needs of the profession and the public. At the end of the day, a successful program doesn't happen without a pilot, feedback, and refining. It might sound to you like a prescription. It's a work in progress. It requires quality control checks before it ever goes out the door. And some of that prescription, that case, may require refinement. So that is what the pilot is all about. Well, in your invitation, you got this, great invitation to a 30 and 30 challenge. What is the goal? We had 50 pilot spots that were funded through the government project. Today, we have actually less than 30 spots to fill. At the time we invited you, there was 30 days to fill it. And now we've only got a handful of days to get to our target. And I believe it's achievable. And so what are the benefits of the pilot? Well, there are no application or credential fees during the next 12 to 15-month period. The results count toward eligibility for competency exams. So as I said, the dental lab associate who meets the eligibility requirements, who is successfully credentialed through the PLAR, must still challenge the KBA and the PBA, and then apply to the regulator for licensure. Another benefit, though, is that there are both subsidies for the candidate as well as the employer through these various licensing agencies, whether it's short-term, 12, 13, 14 to 16 weeks of subsidies. But I feel any little help is a great help. And you, as the RDTs, as the employers, as the subject matter experts, your experience helps to shape the program. And of course, there's an added bonus for every eligible referral. Both the RDT and participant will be entered for a $100 Amazon gift card each. So you don't have to share it. You're both eligible for one, or sorry, one each. So who is eligible for PLAR? Now there are 7 criteria, and we are asking you to review the eligibility criteria carefully, because knowledge is power, and it is power to help someone become a registered dental technologist. So as I said, there are 7. No post-secondary dental technology or other oral health program would be deemed eligible if you don't have it, if the dental lab associate does not have this. But high school is a must. The individual may have a non-oral health post-secondary education. They have to be fluent in English or French. They have to either reside in Canada or be eligible for immigration to Canada. And I will say that is one of the benefits of the PLAR and also the existing PSE program. These can be started when they are in their home country and already eligible to immigrate to Canada. The person must have a valid photo ID, and this is really critically important. They must have at least 5 years and a minimum of 6,500 dental lab practice hours. 1,300 of these hours must be completed 36 months prior to application. So this is a high stakes credentialing program. And they have to complete the PLAR competency-based self-assessment. And this tool is already available on our website and is part of the eligibility requirements. So we need your help. We know that you work with dental lab associates that you believe in, that you believe should have this opportunity to take the first step to becoming a recognized licensed dental technologist. Help them through the process as you would any member of your family thinking about life and a career that comes after high school. It's not just a job for them. And after working in the field for many years, they deserve that. Recognize their talent, value, support, and encourage them to take the next step. They're making quite a commitment, and you'll see that in the next slides of the application process. So there are 4 steps in the application process. The eligibility, they have to express interest, they have to do the self-assessment, as I had alluded to. They have to be really committed by completing the tool, submitting their expression of interest, and completing an eligibility checklist and self-assessment. CADR will then review all of these inputs and make a decision first on just their eligibility to proceed to the second step. which is the applicant now providing their eligibility documents. They will go online, it's set up, complete their profile, just as you as RDTs have done when you registered with the college. And some of you have already gone through a CADR credentialing and evaluation or competency assessment process. So with the application, they complete it online, they upload all of their documents or provide them, and they are uploaded. And this is where they really need you, is they need a reference letter from one or more referees, and that is the RDT or the employers. CADR will review all these documents and then decide on whether the applicant proceeds to step 3, which is actually at that point providing evidence to support the competency portfolio. So you are critical to this step with the referee letter, because that is sent directly to CADR. That does not go to the applicant. So if you're not confident, then you wouldn't express your confidence in the letter, or you can refuse to provide that letter. So step 3, it's the evaluation. And as I said previously, this is a third party, in a sense, evaluation, because it is done by subject matters that are registered dental technologists across Canada. And the applicant is going to have to provide the evidence that we will show you, the evidence grid at the end of my presentation and before we open it to Q&A. And it's quite rigorous. Like, I'm not sure that I could get through providing and submitting a portfolio of evidence that meets all of these competencies. And once that's done, the individual will receive the results based on the evaluation by the RDT. And if there are gaps, they will have to find ways to close those gaps. In the project that we have entered into, with the support of the federal government, we are also researching what those upgrading opportunities look like. And we certainly could use some help from you in identifying those types of upgrading opportunities, because as I said earlier, the educational system is not being funded in a way that they can provide those opportunities. And so then the final step is they have to, and all credentialed individuals would then have to participate, register, pay for, and challenge the knowledge-based and the performance-based assessments that are also considered, or what we consider, the registration exams. If successful there, they then proceed to the regulator of choice, the province of choice, and complete their steps for registration. So, I quickly ran through those steps, and I don't want to spend too much time on them because I want to make sure that we have time to hear from you. And by the way, I did forget to tell you that if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We are monitoring the chat, and we will address your questions at the end of this presentation. I'm leaving lots of time in order to be able to do that. So in terms of verification, we will authenticate, or we will expect that the applicant authenticates their high school certificate or post-secondary certificate from an IRCC, which is Canada Immigration Credential Evaluation Agencies. So we don't just take a person's word for it. They have to provide proof of their dental lab work experience. So they submit a work experience form with a resume, a CV. It could have, T4. Of course, we don't want to see SIN numbers or any personal information that substantiate that they've actually worked in the dental technology field for the different employers. And then, of course, the reference letter, which is critical, which talks to their work, their learning experience, their attitude towards dental technology, and that you, as the RDT, have confidence that they are ready to complete all the steps for entry-level registered dental technology. So then the onus is on the RDTs who have now been trained. The onus is also on the applicant to submit all of their portfolio. So they are submitting evidence, and that evidence can take the form of, as I said, just a CV of the type of work that they have done. It can be photographs of the work they've done. It can be a YouTube video of the work that they've done. And of course, we do recommend that if they are using work that you have been done in your lab, that they certainly get your permission in order to submit it. And that they have your confidence that this is the work that they have done and worked on. It also includes like if they've attended Spectrum Day, they've attended workshops, webinars, seminars. We're aware that Palmieri puts on several great educational opportunities. The associations here in Ontario and in BC definitely offer lots of educational opportunities that we also understand that you as RDTs, as employers, encourage dental lab associates to attend. And you may even put on your own in your own labs. So the candidate or the applicant, they will be evaluated on these areas of competencies: foundational knowledge and skills, core scientific, technical knowledge, safe and professional practice, prescription analysis, design, fabrication, modification, and repair of prosthesis and orthodontic appliances. And also, very importantly, infection prevention and quality control. I've also, covered the evidence formats already in the previous slide, but the evidence has to be valid. And what does it mean to be valid? It has to be sufficient, authentic, credible, verifiable. It has to be relevant and current and accessible. So when I say accessible, we have to be able to evaluate it. We have to have content that we're able to read. So if it's a YouTube or they're photographs, they have to be in a certain format. The evidence must also be demonstrative. So what does that mean? It has to clearly show that the applicant possesses and can apply the knowledge and skills and at the level described in the competency statement and performance indicators. So again, what are the opportunities? Well, there are several, and we've just listed a few. You're expanding the talent pool. We're addressing capacity issues that we're hearing about in labs. RDTs don't want to be tied to the bench. They don't need to be tied day and night to the lab. They need to have their time away from the labs. So how do you make this happen and not lose sight of the public protection mandate? You build the talent pool. Make sure that there are more RDTs in the lab than less. And this is not about compensation. This is not about competition. This is about inclusivity, giving people the opportunity to expand, giving them an opportunity to build their careers for what they want to achieve in life, just as you've done for yourself. But you may have had different opportunities. You may have had a way to go to school, different pressures. So as I said, this expands the talent pool, addresses capacity issues. This is for the future generation of RDTs who have been actually working relentlessly and tirelessly at the bench as dental lab associates, who have demonstrated firsthand their commitment. They're self-directed learners. Improving quality, safety, ethical standards of the team. In doing this project, in exposing dental lab associates to this opportunity, we're now building consistency across standards of using standards, understanding what is professional conduct as opposed to professional misconduct. It is for the prescribers, the dentists, the denturists, other RDTs to know that everybody in the lab is working off the same consistent platform. And today, we now know that there are subsidies available for the employer and for the dental lab associate. So you don't have to go it alone. You don't have to feel like this is all on your back. I just want to remind you that this is about increasing public confidence in the profession. And what we are asking you to do is help dental lab associates through this process, as you would, again, any member of your family. I'm repeating myself because I think it's really important to think about that. These individuals have worked many years and have helped you, and your labs to be prosperous. So how about helping them to recognize their talent, to value their contributions, to not fear competition, but embrace their talent to help you get to where your next level is. Respect their tenacity and dedication to commit to this, very rigorous, evidence-based portfolio way of demonstrating their learning and who they've learned from, which is you, the RDT, their mentor. I'd like to ask Karn if she could put on the screen so that you can see firsthand what this portfolio is about, and the type of evidence they would have to provide. So when you go through this, there are several domains, and within each domain, there is a component and a description. And these components, for some of you, may be familiar. They are what we consider the competencies. And under every competency is how the person would go about demonstrating that they display that competency, both in their knowledge, their skill, and their attitude. And they are required to go online. They are required to upload evidence that demonstrates that they have all of these competencies. And so you can see from the origin of learning, it can be done through a course, a workshop, self-directed study, an employment position, internship, mentorship, voluntary like community service, patient case that they've worked on. And they also have to, and they don't just slap it together, they have to provide a learning statement and also a reference. They have to tag it. So this is not an overnight. And, quite frankly, when I looked at this and I've done my homework on it, this is very much equivalent to a 2 or 3 year educational program. And this, we've spoken with educators. Some of you may have a question, well, why would educators ever support this type of learning? Well, they also understand that their audience, their target audience, is, individuals that are coming out of high school. They don't have that in-depth knowledge about the profession. They may have had some exposure through family, through a family's lab, but they don't have that practical experience. And so that's what they provide them over the 2 to 3 year program. The target audience that we're looking at are people that have immigrated to Canada years ago. They're, as newcomers, or they've been in Canada, but they've not had the opportunity to go to school. They've been working in the lab, supporting their families and really done the best that they can and have learned firsthand. So as Karn is scrolling through this, you can see, I think what you're going to see is like you're at 8 of 19 pages. So I do want you to walk away with an understanding that anybody who tackles this program really has a lot of self-determination. And I, for one, respect that. And I hope you will respect it as well and support them to do this, to move forward with this prior learning assessment recognition. And I want to thank the RDTs that may be in our audience today and may not be in our audience today that have already come forward with names and spoken to me about the confidence that they have in an individual and have helped them to take the first step. So I'm going to stop there, and Karn, thank you very much for putting that up on the screen. I have to thank you because you've taken the time to listen. You've taken the time to understand what PLAR is, and I really encourage all of you to look for that dental lab associate in your lab today that can be the next RDT. So feel free to ask any questions following this webinar, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.